All right, rookie draft season is upon us. So today we are going to give you the guys we have identified early in the rookie draft process as guys you should be going out and adding to your rosters at all costs. We have gone through, and obviously we are about 5 days into these rookie drafts, and so a little bit hard to kind of go in and figure this out, but so far we've found some guys that are starting to slide that we're getting really good values on. We're going to tell you who those guys are today. So be looking to add these rookies to your roster. Be looking to buy these rookies. First, make sure you like the video. Make sure you're subscribed to Dynasty Domain. These are 2 free and easy ways. All you have to do is scroll down and just hit that little like button, and it really helps us out. So we appreciate you doing that. And make sure you head over to dynastydomain.locals.com. Support us there. That's where you get all of our exclusive content, and it's worth it, and it's cheap, and we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about some rookies today, again, that so far, it's too early. It's too early to definitively say, like, okay, these guys are just crazy values. But these guys seem like pretty good values. And we're going to start with the cover guy because I know that's why you're here. And we're going to talk about Jackson Smith and Jigba. So with JSN, I understand in rookie drafts he's not really going later than the 106. Although I did get him at the 107. So I mean, occasionally that does happen. Somebody took, outlier. Somebody took Dalton Kincaid. Oh my gosh, outlier. Yeah, outlier. But we need to talk about something. This all started when I saw a Twitter poll and it asked if you would rather have DK Metcalf or Jackson Smith and Jigba. And DK Metcalf was winning by quite a bit. And I guess I'm just not really understanding this. Like, I understand, first of all, that JSN went a little bit lower in the NFL draft than we thought he would. I understand that we thought he'd go 10 to 15, and he ended up going at 20. I get that. But I think people are pushing him down because of his landing spot, which is kind of what we want to address today. I mean, JSN obviously going to the Seattle Seahawks, he's playing with a very good offense, a very capable, offense and quarterback is what I was trying to say. A very capable quarterback in Geno Smith. I was like, what am I trying to say here?
More than capable.
I think what people are moving him down for is the fact that they have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, which is pretty interesting to me because personally, I'm taking JSN over DK. He's taking JSN over DK. And so at that point, we have to wonder where the difference is. Where's the disconnect here between the Dynasty community and us? And honestly, I think it's the fact that people think that JSN's not going to be able to get enough targets, which is hilarious because, number one, JSN is a better prospect than DK was and Tyler Lockett.
And they don't play the same type of receiver. They don't play the same position. They just don't. Like,
they complement each other very well.
They do. Yeah, and I mean, look at what JSN, we always say, well, look at what JSN did in college. Look what he did in college. I understand college isn't the NFL. And the funny thing is, it's kind of all come full circle because what used to be the biggest strength for JSN going into the draft that ended up becoming apparently his biggest weakness that now really should be his strength is that he produced and put up 1,600 yards with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. Do you know what that means in the Seattle offense? DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett help him.
And they aren't going to bring him down. I mean, guys, Geno's going to be looking for those intermediate yards. I mean, he's going to be a PPR beast. JSN, the change of direction, the way that he gets open, he's going to get so many targets and so many receptions. Regardless of DK. Many. I'm here to tell you, regardless of DK. Again, he plays well with those guys. I mean, they're going to start him from day one. They did not draft him in the first round, so he would just, be people are like, oh, he's going to be in the Tyler Boyd role. No, he's not. He's going to be in the Jamar Chase role. He is the wide receiver one.
Yeah,
he's just a better receiver.
From a fantasy perspective,
we're forgetting how good of a prospect he is, and I understand that. He
didn't go top 15 like I want him to. He went top 20. Whoa.
I get it, but it's a completely different draft class. First of all, you had to throw in the QBs.
There are actually relevant QBs up top.
But the same thing happened this year as it did last year, and that is when the first wide receiver went, all the subsequent wide receivers followed. There were wide receiver runs in both years, and this year the wide receiver run didn't start until a little bit after the 15th pick. And that's not a reason to short JSN. JSN is that good. He played with full-strength Chris Olave, full-strength Garrett Wilson in college, and while that doesn't matter, and I know it doesn't, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson came into the NFL the next year, and they both tore it up. And he was outproducing them both. Yeah. So he's played with elite receivers before, and even though you can say college and the NFL are the same thing, and that is true, it is situationally the same thing. The fact that he played with 2 very good receivers and outproduced them both.
Yeah, and this is just funny to see. Like, I kind of touched on this a little bit during draft day or draft days, I guess. And like, are the Detroit Lions offense, are they becoming kind of a trendsetter? Or maybe you could even go as far back as the Shanahan offense and just the amount of weapons that they have around their ultimately mid QB. And with Jared Goff, like, he's not known for pushing the ball downfield, but the Detroit Lions offense is known now to be one of the most explosive, effective offenses in the NFL. And guess who their most productive wide receiver is in that offense?
Their slot wide receiver.
Their slot wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, whose yards after the catch is otherworldly. Well, you know what JSN's yards after the catch was in college in 2021? Of his 1,600 yards, almost 800 yards of that was after the catch. 8.3 yards after the catch per.
We're worried about
catch.
A guy that had 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's DK. He's not playing with Tyreek Hill, guys.
No.
And DK is not Tyreek Hill from a production.
That's
standpoint.
a whole different type of offense.
I understand he got 140 targets, but you guys are looking at it as DK and Tyler Lockett are taking away from JSN. I'm looking at it as JSN's going to take away from those guys. JSN I think is the best playmaker in that offense.
Yeah.
That's with Kenneth Walker with Charbonnet.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, I really think the drafting of Zach Charbonnet was very indicative of the type of offense that the Seahawks are going to want to run from the Seahawks are going to want to run from here on out, and that's going to be weapon after weapon. And in the backfield, they're probably going to split it between Walker and Charbonnet. We still don't really know for sure, but I mean, in the passing game, Geno Smith, I don't want to short him in his ability and his awesome run last year, winning comeback player of the year, but he does have his limitations, and while he can push the ball downfield and he can do it well, that's not going to be as consistent as throwing to the short and intermediate target, which will be Jackson Smith.
He fits well there. There's no reason to short him because of the landing spot. He got fine draft capital. He was still the first receiver off the board. And the other one I saw was T. Higgins, and I'm not getting it. Like, again, JSN's a better prospect. JSN is primed to have a higher ceiling than T. Higgins. So here's what our advice would be, because really when we're saying to target JSN, he's not going really any later than the 106. So you're not really trading up to get him. The real issue that we saw in context was startup drafts and where he's going, compared to some of these receivers. If you can down tier from DK or T to JSN plus, please do that right now. Please. And this is great. Post draft, we thought his value would just skyrocket up like we thought. Now we're getting him at the same price. I mean, everybody's going to catch up. Be the smart ones. Go get JSN now. Go down tier from those guys. And then in a year when JSN outproduces T. Higgins, you can come here and thank us. All right, moving on. I'm going to cover Sam LaPorta here. So with LaPorta, he's a guy that's going... And most of the time I see him going into the second, start of the third round. And with Sam LaPorta, obviously he was the second tight end off the board, second to Dalton Kincaid, but going over to the Detroit Lions in a spot where, again, you have Ben Johnson running that offense, very creative offensive mind. It's a high-powered offense. You saw them, their games last year just turned into shootouts, every single one of them. And granted, the biggest argument against Sam LaPorta is that he is going to a team that already has a lot of existing offensive weapons. You're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're talking about Jamison Williams. You're talking about Jahmyr Gibbs. You're talking about David Montgomery, which is an absolutely valid point. However, we have seen in the modern day offenses that are as high powered as Detroit's that there can be 4 viable fantasy options. And with Sam LaPorta, he's stepping into a situation where Jamison Williams is going to be suspended for the first 6 games. So while our strategy is normally not to touch these tight ends, number one, you're getting this tight end at late second, early third, which is dart throw territory anyway. But number two, our strategy of buying the tight end after their first year is probably not going to apply to Sam LaPorta, because my guess is that when Jamison Williams is out for the first 6 games of the season, Sam LaPorta will flash, and after that, you won't be able to get him as cheap as you are right now. And again, this is all about price. And for Sam LaPorta, if you're getting him in the early third of your Dynasty rookie draft, I mean, you're looking at the wide receivers there and the running backs there with round 3 or later capital, and then you're going and looking at the historical hit rate for those positions. They're not great. Sam LaPorta, I'm pretty confident he's going to hit. He's a very good tight end. He's in the same tier as Michael Mayer for this class, and you could even put Luke Musgrave in that as well, who also went to a pretty good situation. But with LaPorta, I mean, he ran a 4.59 40. He's athletic as all get out. He's a capable blocker. He's got slot ability. He is somebody that Detroit could move out and he could play in the slot. He's that good at running routes. He's got really good hands. He's an extremely good athlete all around, and he's good with the ball in his hand. He's from Tight End U, Iowa. He's got a 9.01 RAS. He was very, very elite against man coverage in college. I mean, there's just a lot I like about Sam LaPorta. And again, I know I'm kind of breaking my own rule here with first-year tight ends. However, I think he's somebody that could have an immediate impact on the Detroit Lions, and he's somebody for where he's going. Again, if he jumps up into that early second, I'm probably not taking him there. There are some running backs there that I like a little bit more that are going to produce more at the beginning of their careers. However, with Sam LaPorta, I'm really high on him. I'm higher than Nathan is, but he's kind of turning into a my guy now because all my guys got screwed like Charbonnet, so I'm kind of just stuck looking for new ones. So interesting one there, but I love Sam LaPorta in the late second, early third.
Yeah, just I not to push back a ton, but just to provide another perspective to this that isn't even necessarily negative against Sam LaPorta. I get the draft capital for sure, but just keep in mind, elite producing or even amazing producing assets in that offense going on at the same time. So if LaPorta is going to produce, someone's got to take a hit in that offense, and I think it's going to be Jameson Williams.
I do too, personally.
And if LaPorta doesn't really produce at the level we think he's going to, then there's probably going to be something said with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs taking away from him in the short to intermediate game, specifically Gibbs, and then maybe JMO getting a little more target share or volume than we expect. So just be careful there. That's definitely not, if you're looking for team stacks, that's not a stack I'm looking for, because this is getting to a point where it's getting so saturated in that offense that from a fantasy perspective, not all of them are really going to do very well.
And LaPorta's not really a short-term contending pick. He's definitely going to be a long-term pick because, again, I think he's got a long NFL career ahead of him, and I think it's going to be very successful. He's not, if you're contending again, and you've got a Roshan Johnson, if you've got a Kendrick Miller, you're taking those guys if you're contending over Sam LaPorta. But in terms of safety, again, you're drafting him in the early third where everybody's a dart throw. There's really no harm in taking a shot on somebody who's a very talented tight end. So, all right, you've got Roshan Johnson.
Yeah, so Roshan Johnson is going into pretty much a empty backfield. I mean, Khalil Herbert. Honestly, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. Every time I say anything like that I'm concerned about with the Bears offense from a fantasy perspective, it's like I've just insulted the president.
They have a better receiving core than the Colts.
Are you kidding me now?
Somebody said that.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's like they're like, we have a better receiving core than the Colts, and our second best wide receiver is someone that I literally can't even name because I've never heard of them in my life because they suck. And the fact of the reality or the fact of the matter here is that Khalil Herbert, guys, I mean, come on. Roshan Johnson is going into a backfield where he can take the starting job easily. I understand Khalil Herbert has shown flashes before. He has 6th-round draft capital going into his 3rd year. Let's be realistic here. Roshan Johnson, great pick for the Bears. They run a 6-back offense. They're going to be running a lot of RPOs with Justin Fields. Justin Fields isn't a very good passer right now, which means Roshan Johnson could get quite a bit of opportunity there in that offense. So really, really like the landing spot for the short term. Could they replace him in the future? Yeah, sure, since he's a 4th-round pick. But hey, he was a 4th-round pick because he played behind Bijan Robinson on pretty much his entire relevant career in Texas. And I mean, what are you going to do there? That doesn't mean he's worthy of going any earlier than the 4th round. So he could be a guy that's definitely one of the best values you can get in the mid to late 2nd round, especially with a lot of the disgusting landing spots that happen with this class. I really like Roshan Johnson. I do not think the Bears are poised for a Super Bowl run as much as you would think that's the case on Twitter. Anytime you say anything negative about anyone on that team, it is literally like you're insulting the Eagles. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. And honestly, you're getting him mid to late 2nd. That's why he's a good value.
Great value. I'll take him there all day long.
He's got great contender value there for somebody at a late 2nd.
Can't go wrong.
All right, Kendrick Miller is going to be our next guy. Kendrick Miller obviously going to the New Orleans Saints at the 308. So he's getting early 3rd round draft capital which is good. He's got day 2 capital. He's got up higher in the 3rd round, so that is very promising. He's going to a backfield that has a lot of opportunity when you think about it. Alvin Kamara, he clearly has some legal issues, and he probably is going to get suspended, and when he does, Kendre is the number 1 back there. However, I think the real reason that they drafted Kendre Miller was to use him and Kamara. I don't think that there is necessarily a plan for them to get rid of Kamara super quickly, unless obviously the legal stuff gets super bad. But when you think about it, their skills kind of complement each other. Well, Kamara is very good in the receiving game, especially as he gets older. That's really what he's better at. He's not super good between the tackles anymore, honestly. And Kendre Miller, that's really what he's going to bring. He's better on the ground. He's going to be a better pure running back. And not a ton of receiving upside from Kendre Miller. But obviously you saw him last year at TCU. He's not even 21 years old yet. He is just under 21 years old. He's 5'11", 215, so he's got good size. I mean, honestly, he's got workhorse size. He's got size for somebody that could really do it.
Yeah, and look for him to be slowly phasing that offense. I know they brought in Jamal Williams for a reason on a short-term deal, and I think that's definitely a relevant concern with him. But again,
I don't think Jamal Williams is the. I don't think
Kendre Miller is
the running back.
Kendre Miller is the RB4 in this class, and I don't think it's very close.
I think. Yeah, I guess I forgot about Jamal when I was saying that, but I don't think they brought Jamal in. I think they brought Jamal in for his role with the Lions.
I mean, Jamal Williams' age alone, and just he has major.
And I think Kendrick Miller is a better running back than Jamal.
Yes, no, he absolutely is.
So I think that's going to be a reason people fade him. But again, I think he's going to be a good pick there as well. All right, you've got Jaden Reed next as our next guy.
Yeah, so Jaden Reed is a guy that's falling. I mean, easily late second consistently, and this is a guy. Look. We have not been known fans of Jaden Reed. We've recognized him here before, not in depth. I knew who he was, and he was a fine receiver coming out of Michigan State on the older side. He's 23 years old. And look, I am not going to be the first to be critical of the NFL's picks that they make. However, I do think, draft capital is king. So you look at the draft capital, you're like, all right, Jaden Reed should have more value than what we previously expected because he went in the 2nd round. That's just automatic. You trust the draft capital there. You don't short them and lose out on value. That being said, I think you can still question what was going on there. I think Gutekunst has not been known for his amazing drafts. In fact, he's been known for some of the worst drafts in recent history, like very, very bad. And I'm not saying that this is going to be a bad pick. What I will say is I wonder if the reason they picked him is because of his experience and what he can do in the slot to provide for Jaden Reed or for Jordan Love. Because Christian Watson, he's like skyrocketing up draft boards in Dynasty startups right now. And I don't really understand why, because it's not like his role changed. Just because they drafted Jaden Reed in the 2nd and no one really likes him or knows who he is and he's 23 years old, that doesn't mean Christian Watson is going to get more target share or volume. He's playing the same position. Jaden Reed is taking the position that everyone thought Jackson Smith and Jigba was going to fill in Green Bay, and he's going to get those targets for a QB that has almost no experience going into his 4th year. So I think you can't really go wrong with Reed at the end of the 2nd round. Of course you have questions about him. Of course you do.
You're getting him later than that. He's going in the 3rd.
Yes.
Trust the draft capital. That's a trust the draft capital thing. You want to take a shot on
2nd
somebody?
Round.
Take a shot on somebody that has a higher percentage of a hit rate.
Yeah.
In the 2nd
I am
round
no fan of John. I'm no fan of Jonathan Mingo. If he falls to the late 2nd or early 3rd,
taking him.
Smashing.
The problem with
Jonathan
Mingo is that he's going in the early 2nd, and
that's way too high. So
we don't really want to take him there. So
yeah.
All right, I'm going to talk lastly about Billiam Levis. Willy Boy obviously had a little bit of a rough draft night. The first night, and they just kept showing him on camera, and he had all these random chicks around him, and it was just, I felt bad for him.
You know what it was?
What?
It was the banana.
I told you on the show.
You were absolutely right.
I told you an NFL GM would see that and be like, what in the mother frickin' heck is that guy doing?
Yep.
He just ate a banana with a peel, and it was rotten.
They're like, this guy's too intense for us. We can't bring him in until the 2nd round.
Look, I'm joking. I have nothing to say about Will Levis's character. I don't know the dude. Obviously, there's speculation about his attitude, and that was why he fell. Obviously, we don't know that for a fact. It could have just been that he wasn't super good at Kentucky, and the fact that he was behind Sean Clifford for 3 years.
That's probably what I'd put my money on.
I'd probably put my money on that too. But the Tennessee Titans, and they're a dumpster fire of an organization, anyways. But they move up to get Will Levis, so that alone doesn't give me a ton of confidence in Will Levis. But I'm going to talk positively about him because he's a buy. Really, the reason for this is going to be the murky situation that has happened at the end of the first round and the beginning of the second round, really all the way through the second round. After like Zay Flowers, it is a complete and total crapshoot in these drafts. And so because of that, when you are drafting for a Superflex league, you're talking about a quarterback that has early second round draft capital that is going to a team where Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis are the two guys he has to beat to start there. A team that, honestly, I think moved up to have him start. I mean, even though whatever Mike Vrabel says, I mean, he's full of crap. I mean, they can win as many games as they want in the regular season. They're going to poop out in the playoffs anyways.
Yeah. You've got to take him at the end of the first, guys.
Yes,
Please do not.
In a Superflex league, take him.
You cannot justify taking Devon Achane, a gadget player, in an offense that's already loaded with talent, over a quarterback that is going to take the starting job in a super flex league.
It means two quarterbacks.
Two.
Why would you take a sub 190 dude instead of a starting quarterback? Yeah, I'm confident he's going to start. Save the click.
Yeah, no, he totally is.
You really think they traded up to the first 3 picks of the second round just to let him sit his whole career? You really think Ryan Tannehill is going to outplay him?
Nope.
No. Guys, you're talking about start. It's a no-brainer. And look, he's still a tier behind Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnson. Totally acknowledge that. After that, when you get to the crapshoot range, take the quarterback. There are very few safe picks after that range, and this is one of them. And again, not a fan of Will Levis at all. Did not want the Colts to draft him. I am so relieved we drafted AR. In fact, this is telling too. Jim Irsay, who is the owner of the Colts, that says literally everything that he's thinking. He said they would have drafted Will Levis had Anthony Richardson not made it to them, which is really scary, actually, as a Colts fan.
It's terrifying.
But it's also telling that there was an NFL organization, and a pretty reputable one with drafting, might I say, with the Colts. They do fairly well in the drafts. That was going to take Will Levis that high. I think after he made it out of that fourth pick, it was just a free fall. I don't think anybody really wanted him bad enough to need him. There was Atlanta needed a quarterback, but Bijan's there. I'd rather take Bijan over Will Levis. I mean, you could go through any team. But again, he was a guy that was getting first round coverage, and he also was a guy that was invited to the green room and unfortunately didn't make it. But because of that, we do have some faith that NFL teams think higher of him than second round. And honestly, early second round is fine capital for us to take a shot on. We've seen it with some QBs in the last couple of years, although it's not the most common. We still believe in it enough. So, all right, those are, again, it's hard to come up with this list, especially this early, because we've only been at this for 5 days. And everything could change. Rookie drafts will flip flop on themselves, which is weird. But right now, these are the best guys, and they're going to be pretty specific circumstances. But if you can get these guys where they're going, where we're telling you they're good values, we highly recommend it. And I know it's tough to make these rookie picks sometimes. Make sure you diversify. But if you get these guys at the price point that we see them going at, to us, they're good enough values to help your fantasy team in a big way. So, all right, make sure you like the video. Make sure you're subscribed to Dynasty Domain as well. We've got all kinds of Dynasty content and rookie content coming out the entire offseason, so make sure you're subscribed for that as well. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate you watching and joining us. As always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you later.